industry stories. B.Woods hanging out with you. And today we're going to be talking about copycat swag. Is your swag original? Just saw that Joker movie, which I thought was absolutely fire. And the reason why I bring it up is just because in that movie, I'm like a super just like Batman nerd, so I know like all the little variations. I never read like the comic books, but I definitely watched a lot of the movies. Everybody's seen the movies, but I watched like a lot of the animated versions. I watched Gotham. So every story, what I noticed, had their own variation of the Bruce Wayne, Gotham City, Batman story. And so what makes it dope is just because everybody just kind of has their own take on it, which is you don't think it's gonna work. It ties into the original story, but it really has its own feel because somebody puts their level of originality into it. And so what made the Joker movie so dope was the fact that, I mean, when you watch the trailer, you say to yourself, and I'm not gonna, there are no spoilers. They don't know when you're gonna be listening to this damn podcast. It can be fucking 70 years from now, and it'll be like me talking about the Titanic and no spoilers. You know what I'm saying? Like, motherfucker, the goddamn iceberg is a coming. So, in this film, Joker is a stand-up comic, and I think they show that in the trailer. And when I was watching, I was just like, I don't remember that being in none of the comics. I don't remember him never telling a joke. I'm like, how does this work? And lo and behold, you know, somebody tells me, they like, yo, let's go watch this movie. Let's see what's popping with it. I reluctantly go see the movie because I just think it's going to be, I just think it's going to be trash because it doesn't seem to fall in line with the original plot. And I see it, and I am amazed. I'm like, whoa, like everything from the cinematography to the storyline to just everything is just it's up to par. Like it's super, it's dope as hell. So I was impressed, and I was just like, yeah, somebody clearly put their original touch on it, and it's gonna make it a classic. I definitely predict that this movie's gonna win like some level of just Oscars on Oscars, just because it's just, just cinematically, it's amazing. But it just kind of goes to show like how important is originality in this business. I remember when I do radio, when I first started doing radio at this station called 93.5 K, I was a huge fan of this radio personality, Julio G. And Julio G was how could I say, he's like the ambassador of the West Coast when it came to just music out here. All these cats from like Snoop and Exhibit, and just he really was the voice for a while out here. And he was just a humble cat. That was the biggest thing. If Julio really kind of just pumped himself up, like he would be a household name in the hip hop game. But the people that do know him have a lot of respect for him and know his contributions to hip hop and especially West Coast hip hop. And so I would listen to his show on at the bus stop. Like before I was working at the radio station, I was like a huge fan. And I would always just I appreciate Julio's his radio show, because when he was on the air, a lot of jocks, when they got on the air, they would just kind of talk like you knew that they were getting on the radio, right? So he would be, they'd be like, yo, what's going on? It's all going down. Yo, what's up? What's popping? And Julio wasn't like that. Julio was more like, hey, what's up? It's Julio. I'm doing my thing. I just dropped off my daughter Dominique and caught traffic today, but yeah, let's get it popping with this, so-and-so. We got this new Corrupt. You're gonna love it. He just was himself on the air. His energy, his vibe was himself. And so that's what, his connection to the music and his authenticity on the air was just, was phenomenal. And And I was just like, yo, just to be able to work with this guy was just was, to me, I thought would be the biggest thing in my career at that time. And funny story, he used to have this guy that worked with him on the show that would always just pick up his phone. He would give him an opportunity to be on the air too. And I'd be at the bus stop and I'd just be like, man, that should be me, helping co-host Julio's show. And, that's how much I was in my brain about a lot of this stuff. And just kind of fast forward, the dude, and I was hating in my mind, but the dude is actually one of my best friends now, which is ironic enough. That was actually helping Julio, and it was his assistant on his show, which fast forward in the future, we brothers now, which is crazy. And so going back to the originality and swag, fast forward, years pass, and I end up working with Julio on the air. And it was just crazy because this is at one point, I'm out here grinding and getting my weight up, doing radio. And one of my idols is, on the radio before me. And it was the craziest feeling when I heard Julio. He said, well, coming up next is B.Woods. He's going to be holding you down, blah, blah, blah. And it was just crazy. I was like, whoa, I always remember listening to this dude on the radio. And now he's introducing me as, coming up next. And, we always had a great, I guess, working relationship. And, I just never wanted to step on Julio's toes because it was, I had so much respect for him. And there was, at the time, there's a lot of jocks on our station, and they would always try to, I think we had maybe Steve Hart. We had a different, just a slew, different personalities. And one personality would always kind of try to sound like the personality before them. And the person that came on before, Julio, or he would listen on, we had weekend jocks, and a lot of the weekend jocks, they would try to sound like the afternoon drive, because everybody had their own styles. The only thing that I can kind of compare it to would just be the way somebody plays a sport, how somebody rhymes in hip hop, that specific swag, how somebody makes a beat, how somebody gets down on, they have a signature thing. So everybody has their original way of just kind of doing stuff. And so, but on the radio, when you're talking and you have a certain cadence, you have a certain vibe, you have a certain energy, people can notice when you actually are kind of mimicking somebody, and I guess that's the ultimate way or praise that, that you doing your job, because the fact that you got other people within the business copying your swag or copying the way that you get down, or just saying little things that you say here and there, you're complimented by it, but at the same time, you're like, motherfucker, do you? How about you do you? And so one day I'm coming in from, after the shift, and, Julio's there, and he comes up to me and he's like, yo, B.Woods, you know what? He's like, I ain't really throwing nobody under the bus, but a lot of cats out here, they trying to sound like they trying to do me, and it's a bad version of me, bro. And I was like, yeah, I already know, because we were talking about the same person, but we didn't want to, obviously, just be on some hater shit and just say and call out names. And he was like, bro, that's the one thing that I do appreciate you, man. You come in here and you do you. You do you. You don't copy anybody's swag. You do you. And for me, that was one of the biggest compliments for me, because I always went in there and I was just like, all right, whether you rock with me or I'm going to do me, I'm going to allow my personality and my energy to just kind of to float me through this shift, and as much as I appreciated everybody else, I liked my personality, and that's what resonated. And I appreciated other people's personality because they were so much different from me. But I would come in and just kind of do me, and to me that just kind of meant a lot to me. And now that we're in this social media age, you see everybody just kind of doing the same fucking things over and over and over. And it's just like and you wouldn't think that everybody had a different fingerprint. Everybody's significant and different. Everybody's life story is so different. Everybody has a different fucking story to tell, a different experience, a different life journey. And everybody can be telling that in their own way, shape, or form, but everybody kind of does everything the same way. And so I think that anytime you can just kind of embrace your thing, you look at social media, everybody's a goddamn self-help guru, and then 10 seconds later they twerking, they listen to the same songs, it doesn't really mean you doing, certain things. Obviously we're going to vibe out to the same music, but it's presented and packaged all the same way. And it's just like, okay, let me mimic that. And so we don't have it's a flock of unoriginality. And so it's just, you can always just tap into you and do you. And I just think that it just would resonate just so much more, And so that's why that Joker movie was dope, because it stabbed the originality bug in something that was kind of already out there. And I think that's dope. And so, in this industry story, it's just like tap into your original space. Don't be, you can obviously get influence from other people, but just know that your story is dope as hell. And if your story is whack, then tell your whack story and people will get into your whack shit. Trust me, they will, because people like to hear the struggle more than they like to hear the triumph, you know what I'm saying? And just, just make sure your shit don't stay whack, all right? So keep it locked right here. It's Industry Stories, B.Woods.